Since ChatGPT has come out, you've probably seen all the videos that talk about automating the script writing process for your YouTube videos. It can save time, it can give you hooks, it could literally spit out a script in seconds. So should you use it? My honest opinion, no. But I do use AI to help me with one particular thing when it comes to my YouTube videos. It's not that ChatGPT isn't a good tool. The way I use ChatGPT for my YouTube videos is a lot different than what I see people talking about. From video scripting to creating thumbnails, all that stuff is very important. And what you're allowing yourself to do when you actually put in the work to do this is build a skill set so you can identify patterns. If you rely on ChatGPT to write you scripts before building those skill sets, how are you going to be able to identify what's good and what's not? If you can't identify what is good and what isn't good, you're never going to understand the right actions to take to make it better. So imagine you're going on a trip and there's a new pilot program, you got a great deal, and not only is the flight cheaper, but the captain that's about to fly you to your destination just completed a new program where there was less training because they used AI to fly. All he had to do was hit the autopilot button. You're completely reliant on the airplane and the software working properly. The pilot wouldn't have an understanding of all the principles and fundamentals necessary to identify their patterns or mistakes or obstacles that occur. And this is why we don't have pilots do it, for very good reasons. And they have to understand the fundamentals to be able to anticipate and identify what's going right and what's going wrong. And all this pilot would know how to do would be to hit the autopilot off and autopilot on button. Well, it's kind of like the same thing when you focus on using ChatGPT to write your scripts for you. You can't identify the obstacles that you're facing or the good things that are going right for you because you're using automation. Now, I have written ads that have literally produced millions of dollars for myself and my clients. The reason why I was able to write this way in 2017, I had no skill set when it came to copywriting. And within 2.5 years, I was well on my way to already making my first million. And I was able to do this because I understood and I learned the fundamental principles of persuasive writing. I saw patterns. I identified a framework. So when I did decide to go all in on YouTube about 4 or 5 months ago, and ChatGPT was a thing everybody was talking about, I made a very conscious decision not to mess with it because I understood it would slow down my ability to identify the patterns and fundamentals that I needed to understand. Even though I had a skill set in persuasive copywriting and I knew how to write ads, I knew YouTube was a different ballgame. It was like a completely different plane. It's like going from an Airbus to a Boeing. And no pun intended, just like a pilot who's trained on autopilot, if something happens to the navigation and he can't do it manually to navigate himself to where he wants to go, it's completely useless. But if he understands the fundamentals of flying first and how to navigate, then yeah, he could use it and it can become a more effective tool. And there's also another reason why I wouldn't use ChatGPT to write my scripts for me. When it comes to making content, especially YouTube, believe it or not, you are the product. Now, not everybody is gonna like your channel and not everybody's gonna like your content, but the people that do like you. And you're different from everybody else. Think of Alex Hormozy, think of Russell Brunson, think of Elon Musk. Heck, they could probably talk about the same thing with the same script, but in their own version, in their own way. And that's the point. When you use AI, you're really watering down the thing that makes you different and makes you stand out. This is just my opinion. There's gonna be people that don't agree with me and they're gonna be like,
well, Josh, you can get it to write in your own tone.
well, it's not so much what you say, it's also how you say it, right? And that can really go both ways. But when you write for yourself, you're being your authentic self. And instead of letting ChatGPT write my script for me, like I said, I use it to do something else. And I actually used it right before I said this, but obviously you couldn't see it. And the one thing that it does is it gives my audience more clarity above all else. What happens is I let it do its thing and then I rewrite it in my own words. You got to understand the fundamentals and the process that I use because it will be worthless if you don't understand that. This is what's going to help you make the script writing process much easier. And the reason why I focus a lot on scripting is because I realized after I made my first million, words are very important. Words are the reason we do something or we don't. It's the reason why we buy or we don't buy. It is what you say and it is how you say it that can have the most biggest positive effect or the biggest negative effect. The first part in this framework is using your power hook. This hook is a powerful statement or question that is going to draw your viewers in. You've seen this on almost every video, and the best ones really grab your attention. Number 2, you have the agenda reveal. Now, this is optional, but a lot of channels, what they'll do is right after the power hook, they explain to you what they're going to cover. It's really simple and really effective. And the way I determine if I use this or not is if it's going to help me amplify the message. If it's not going to help me amplify the message and I don't need it, I don't use it. The third thing is the plot story. So if you're going into something a little bit more complex, if it's a more complex topic, what I like to do is I like to give the context to it so the audience will understand it. You don't always need to talk about a plot story. And if you're teaching something, I use the same framework. I just go into the situation, the what and the why, and give the context needed for the audience to understand in that specific situation. And then we start going into the content. What specifically you're talking about. And just like we had a power hook in the beginning, we have a content power hook. So right now I'm talking about a framework. So if I'm using the script writing process as a framework, it would look a little bit something like this. I analyzed over 100 videos and spent over 100 hours watching some of the best YouTube videos over and over and over. And I found these 5 common fundamentals every viral YouTube video used, and I made it into a script, and I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to show you how to use it. After that power hook, then you start going into the story or teaching something. And the way you do that is you talk about the beginning, the middle, and the end. Now, the beginning, the middle, and the end framework is really simple to use. And what you do is as you go from beginning, the middle, and the end, it looks a little bit something like this. You talk about the what and the why, and then you introduce the problem or the obstacle towards the middle, and then you pay it off with the how to do it or what to do at the end. This framework works both for telling stories or teaching. What I like to do after I write my script, I start going through it and I use AI to see if there's anything that I can simplify. So what that looks like is I will highlight my sentence if I find that it seems a little bit confusing or if I think it could be made better, and I use Notion or ChatGPT and tell it to simplify that. And after it gives me something, I rewrite it in my own words. And that's how I use ChatGPT. What's interesting is when I focused on the quality of my scripting, I started to trigger the YouTube algorithm a lot easier, specifically the browse and the suggest. So a quick recap, no, I don't recommend using AI to completely write your scripts for you. I recommend writing them in your own words using this framework. If you want to see another video that goes step by step in more detail about how to script your videos in a way that will not only hook your audience, but be able to tell better stories and teach so you can generate more leads, generate more sales, build your brand, build trust and authority, look for a link in the description.